So my name is Parker Duryea. I work for the Oregon Mass Timber Coalition. I'm actually the marketing and communications manager there, but for this project, I have been the project manager for helping develop this mass timber workforce training set of resources that our team's been working on. And we're really excited to share them with you all so that you can help us kind of reach our goal of getting this information out to students and others in the community looking to maybe make a career shift into the mass timber sector. So, for those of you who aren't aware, the Oregon Mass Timber Coalition is a collaborative between many different government agencies and educational institutions like Oregon State and University of Oregon. We also have partners with the Port of Portland, the Oregon Department of Land Management and Conservation, and all of these other groups that work with us. And we're focused on kind of growing the mass timber industry as a whole in Oregon, and that includes workforce development. So you'll hear a lot more from kind of the higher ups in our group today, but that just kind of gives you a little bit of overview. We received money from the EDA. We received a very large grant, and one of the main focuses of that is developing jobs in mass timber in Oregon. So these resources kind of go hand in hand with that. So again, while people are joining, we think it might be interesting to get kind of a poll from the group of what parts of the industry you might be coming from. So if you all feel comfortable in using the little hand raise feature on Zoom, we would love to know, first of all, how many of you are coming to us from within the Portland metropolitan area? Great, love the hand raise. Perfect. Great to see that. Thank you again for joining us. How about those of you who might be from outside of the Portland metro area? Do a little swap here. Great. Perfect. And then how many of you are instructors or maybe teachers in our group? Maybe raise your hand for that one. Perfect. How about counselors or maybe coaches, career coaches, anything kind of in that area of things? Perfect. And we'll do one more. How about community partners or maybe community organizations that kind of are in the wider sector? Anybody in those groups? Awesome. Great. Well, again, we're very grateful to have you join us. I think that you'll find that this is really exciting and informational, and you'll have resources to take with you. Just as a little roadmap for today, first, we're going to hear from Marcus Kaufman, who is with us at the Oregon Mass Timber Coalition, and he's going to share a little bit about what is mass timber, kind of give you some of that background to help you help the people that you work with. Next, we're going to hear from Rachel Teamy from the Port, and she's going to share a little bit about the regional training cluster and share a little bit more about their work. Then we're going to show you our short video that we've been working on, kind of highlighting mass timber careers in Oregon. Then you'll hear from Julie Purris from Portland Community College, and she will share our actual mass timber training resources that are available to you. Then we'll hear from Building to Scale and some other community organizations that will share some of their opportunities, and then we'll end with a Q&A at the end. If you have questions as we go through and it just makes more sense for you to just write it as you go, feel free to put that in the chat as we move through. Just know that we might not have time to answer it until the end. But that works great. So without further ado, I'm going to pass things over to Marcus Kaufman.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Can everybody hear me? So, what is mass timber?
Yeah, don't do that one. Use Michelle's.
And well, if you're not speaking, you should probably put yourself on mute. So what is mass timber and why should you care? Why should these resources be of any interest to you? And first and foremost, mass timber is a growth industry. But what is it? Mass timber is both a material and a method. So it's really a mass timber as a on the material side, it's a catch-all term that includes a variety of products. So things that you may be familiar with that we use to build tall wood buildings, like cross-laminated timber or glue-laminated beams or mass plywood, which is a similar type of product that's made with veneer. And then on the method side, it's really designed for manufacturing. So it's like traditional manufacturing, except this is a digital model of manufacturing where parts are made in a digital model, they're sent to the manufacturer, they might be sent further downstream to fabrication, and then they show up exactly how they're to be erected on site for the building. So the sector of mass timber includes forestry, basic manufacturing like sawmills, advanced manufacturing, so that people that are making cross-laminated timber, glue lam beams, fabrication, folks that are doing additional work to those large elements. So takes the beam, takes the panel, runs it through a CNC machine, a computer numerically controlled machine, to put the details on it for the mechanical, electrical, plumbing. So the routing, the penetrations, all of the detail work that happens at fabrication facilities. And then we've got construction installation. So that's kind of the supply chain. And of course, we've got architects, engineers, and developers that are also in that supply chain, who are the ones who are designing and building these buildings. So that's what it is. So why should you care? And really, it's because mass timber is growing and it's outpacing traditional construction. So I think what's important here is that there are opportunities along the supply chain. There are opportunities straight out of high school. There are opportunities for folks who have 4-year degrees in architecture, engineering, construction management. And there's opportunities in various trades, whether that's construction, manufacturing, fabrication, design. Um, all of those are kind of within the mass timber industry. And where are these places? So these are jobs that are developing in both rural and urban spots across Oregon. So kind of concentrated in Portland and the southern Willamette Valley, but the industry is much bigger. It's nationwide actually, and we have mass timber manufacturing in all of the forested regions of the United States now and into Canada. So an industry that is growing across the country, and the Northwest is kind of leading the show. So in addition to these resources and the work that the Oregon Mass Timber Coalition has put together, we also have another effort to drive mass timber called the Pacific Northwest Mass Timber Tech Hub. And I share that just to let everyone know that our efforts here is one initiative that we have with the Oregon Mass Timber Coalition, but we have other initiatives that are aimed at bringing more resources here to continue this work into the future and into other states. So I think it's a very exciting industry. We've seen a lot of growth, a lot of investment. One number that sticks out in my head is, regional partners have invested over $1 billion in the last 10 years in building up the mass timber manufacturing supply chain. So that's why we're excited about the job opportunities and why we've kind of invested in this workforce training, because there are jobs and it is a growing industry and there's lots of opportunity there. So I'm going to pass it to Rachel, and she can talk about the Regional Workforce Training Cluster.
Sounds great. Thank you, Marcus. Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Teamy. I'm with the Port of Portland, and I am going to pull up my slides here for you. Let's see. All right. Just a couple here. Excellent. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. This is a great turnout. And I want to emphasize we are really just getting started with new workforce resources in mass timber. And we're going to get into the video, of course, and then share with you more detail on new training programs that have just been stood up. We're starting small, and we really hope to replicate this effort really throughout the state and throughout the region. So Parker mentioned at the beginning that the Oregon Mass Timber Coalition received funding from the Economic Development Administration through their Build Back Better Regional Challenge Award. And I see that way I've got Wes Cochran on the call, so I want to acknowledge him and thank him for all of his support here. That funded a variety of mass timber projects to really help grow the industry here in Oregon. One of those projects is called the Regional Training Cluster, which is led by the Port of Portland and focused on workforce development. And really, the goal of this effort is to prepare workers for this growing industry, and really with a focus on careers, entry-level careers in construction and manufacturing. So while forestry workforce is obviously a huge part of this as well, our focus here is generally with construction and manufacturing. So that's what you're going to hear more about today. We've been really close with industry partners, so our manufacturers. I see we've got Andrew from Timber Lab and Nathan Young from Mods PDX on the call. So great to have you all here, and thank you for your partnership to really help inform what is needed by industry as we're getting started. And so, we have some really fantastic college level curriculum already happening at Oregon State and other institutions. But we had a real gap with this kind of entry level community college curriculum to really get people trained up for these entry level opportunities. And so that's what we've started tackling with today. You'll hear more about. For this effort, we are so excited to be partnering with some really excellent partners, including Portland Community College. You'll hear from Julie today on the call, as well as Work Systems. Cheryl's leading that work from there. And then a small organization up in Washington State called Glacier Peak Institute. So this effort kicked off in 2024, and Julie's going to give some more details on the exact programming after we show the video. But at a high level, I want to just brag a little bit about what these fantastic partners have achieved so far. They've conducted an assessment of what are the mass timber industry's workforce needs in the state of Oregon, and really done a scan of what exact services are available and kind of where should we get started? What are the biggest opportunities? PCC has launched a new micro-credential program for mass timber construction at really that entry level. Work Systems is providing career coaching for really to support job seekers and employers who are looking to get their first job in mass timber. PCC's developed a training manual that will be shared across community colleges and with other partners around the state. We've also provided funding to help launch the Building to Scale program, which you'll hear about from Nathan in a little bit as well, which is another exciting hands-on training program utilizing mass timber. And really importantly, since mass timber is such a new field, and there isn't much awareness yet of what the career opportunities are, we came together with our partners at the Oregon Mass Timber Coalition to create a 5-minute video that we're going to share with you just after I'm done talking, to really highlight and uplift the people working in the mass timber industry now, who really go into some detail about what they do at their job, how they got there. And many of these folks are working in these entry-level jobs. Not everyone, but we do emphasize that in the video to really hopefully inspire and share what's possible to get started. And I think it's always helpful, whether you're a career coach supporting job seekers, or you're an educator, kind of understanding what some of the realistic pathways are in this growing industry. So we're excited to share that in just a second. I do want to give a shout out before we jump into the video, and thank you so much to our industry partners. Everyone who you see here on the screen really took time to have their employees be interviewed. Sometimes we went back for more B-roll and back again, and so I know that can be disruptive to your operations, but hopefully you all like the video, and really appreciate the time that you took to let the camera crew in. And then finally, I just want to ask for everyone's help on this call. If you like the video, we hope that you'd share it. We've got a post up on LinkedIn with the Oregon Mass Timber Coalition. If you're not already following, please give them a follow and share their post about the video. We really want to distribute this widely throughout the state and the region to really get this great information out there. And then if you have ideas where we should share the video, whether that's a conference or maybe you have a newsletter or you're aware of some kind of workforce or construction related event that we should be at, if you could drop that in the chat, we'd love to hear any advice that you have for how we can just distribute this even further. So without further ado, I'd love to turn it back over to Parker to cue up the video.
Great. Thanks, Rachel. So I will share my screen here and we will talk a little bit about this video here. So as Rachel mentioned, this is one of a series of videos that our team has been working on for the past year. So the one that we're going to show today is the 5-minute version, which kind of gives you an overview of kind of the diversity and variety of careers available in mass timber. But at the end, I'll share a link that will actually have a link to our resources page, and we actually made 4 additional videos beyond this one that kind of do a deep dive into each one of these careers. So this is kind of like our high level one, and then just know that there's additional resources if you're interested maybe in a specific career or learning more just about how like the depth of the industry in general. So let me play the video for you all. And then afterwards, we will pass it off to Julie to share some of our additional resources that we have.
Mass timber is a collection of different products. So you're going to have CLT, which is cross-laminated timber. You're going to have glulam, which is glued laminated timber. And then MPP, which stands for mass ply panels, is a veneer-based mass timber product.
Mass timber is essentially a lot of smaller pieces of timber glued together to increase its strength characteristics.
Yeah, with mass timber beams, we can use smaller, younger trees instead of cutting down old growth. And then we can essentially recreate a timber structure, but with engineered pieces.
Mass timber. Man, it is a crazy thing. Mass timber is pretty sweet.
I would describe it as a really big piece of lumber.
So I grew up as a carpenter working for my dad, so I've been really close to the trade my whole life, and I've been really passionate about woodworking. And when we discovered mass timber, it's just like a big woodworking project, being able to work with the mass timber panels and seeing everything come together so quickly. I really just fell in love with that building process.
In high school, I was a big theater kid. And so if you had told me back then that I'd be in construction, I probably would have just laughed and said, I don't want to do that. But it really has opened the door to create some really fantastic things for me. And I stumbled into it. I literally was in the right place at the right time to learn a machine, and it's given me an entire career.
I started working construction when I was 15 years old, and then I ended up getting hired by Carpentry Plus to work on a project that we had out there, the Quiute Tribal School. And they asked me at the end of the project if I'd be willing to move down here. And so I did. And so what started off as temp labor turned into a career.
I got in just looking for a job right out of high school. I started when I was 18. I was just looking for any job I could work on because I was taking a gap year. But when I got to this job, I started working, and there was just a lot of opportunity for growth. So I stayed with it.
I thought I was going to be stuck in the food industry. I thought I was going to be there for quite a while, maybe even till I retired. But the opportunity came to me to put my hands in something differently, and I think I made a really, really good choice. I do really like my job. I do.
I've always been really creative my whole life, from art to theater to music to dance. And my job here as a CNC lead and operator is to still create new things, solve problems. I'm constantly using those creative muscles in my brain to figure out how we want to do something.
This job is just really fun. I love working with my hands. I love getting to see client reactions and client interaction with the end product. It's really cool to be able to use something that brings a little more safety and comfort into the built environment. I just have been having a blast working with mass timber.
Really, it is such an incredible, exciting world. It's old school meeting new school with new technology, new advances to how we're building.
If you really, value sustainability, if you really value health and well-being, it's definitely a really wonderful industry to be in.
Yeah, I think the mass timber industry it could be really attractive for young people. There's a lot of opportunities for careers that are directly out of high school as opposed to like the traditional 4-year degree too. So you can start earning a living without having to take on any college debt.
The industry has never been at a better level to be able to enter because of the pay gap has shrunk so much from blue collar to white collar now to where there's a lot of great opportunities and companies offer lots of benefits and everything that you would get at any other place. The only difference is you're going to get dirty and you're going to work hard.
Where I see mass timber going is actually growing. And I think there's a lot of need actually for people who have experience or people who are willing to gain experience on the install side, on the modeling side, on the design side, on all the different aspects that all come together to make these buildings go up. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of room for people to come into this industry.
All right. So, yes, I love the applause. That's fun. Yeah, we're really proud of that video. And like I said, the subsequent 4 other videos that give kind of a deeper dive into what each specific role looks like. I love that the folks that we interviewed were really emphasizing their ability to be creative. I think a lot of people forget that in jobs like that, it really requires someone who can think kind of uniquely and broadly and find new ways to solve problems. So Julie's going to share next from Portland Community College and give a little bit of background into some of the resources that we've developed that can kind of help connect those that you might work with to our resources. So I'm going to pass it over to Julie, but I'm going to share my screen so that we can have Julie's slides up.
Hi, everyone. Julie Puris, Program Manager here at Portland State University. Again, I just want to also thank you for spending this time with us and learning about mass timber and the programs and opportunities we have. So I'm just going to share about the new training program that we've developed. It's called BEAM, Building Education in Advanced Mass Timber, and also about a resource. It's a booklet called Introduction to Mass Timber Industry. Next slide, Parker, please. This is what Marcus touched on, why mass timber, really because of the fast-growing sustainable building sector and the high demand for skilled carpenters and launchpad for construction and manufacturing. So our focus is really, it's a reintroduction to carpentry and construction through the lens of mass timber to really maybe get people who wouldn't have thought about this industry or sector, but then become excited kind of learning about the new mass timber sector. So that's what the BEAM's focus is. Next slide, please. Oh, and that previous slide, if you're in the neighborhood in Portland, PCC's Opportunity Center on 42nd Street, that is a mass timber building. So if you are in that, it's open to the public. You can take a look. So our program, it's an entry level, it's a 2-week training. If we share these slides, you'll have the link to the website. Next page. So it's 60 hours, it's 2 weeks. It's really designed for entry-level participants. Again, with a focus on construction and mass timber. It really combines some carpentry technical skills, so they have some exposure to that, and then industry exposure with tours, and then just more about career exploration. Again, from our industry partners, we've heard, that those what we call essential skills or soft skills are still really important. So understanding teamwork, time management, the importance of attention to detail, all of those aspects are covered and reinforced as well. And then they have the opportunity for a PCC trade safety micro-credential. And then Rachel mentioned the unique partnership working with Work Systems and the Clean Energy Career Coaches. So that's something that once the program is done, then they can continue to work with those coaches to get support to look for work in that area. Next slide. So this is what our participants learn is this introduction. They get the safe use of hand and power tools by making a project. Again, support with those essential skills, understanding the different pathways that are available to them, getting to meet industry partners by touring sites and makes a big impression on them. And then also support with resume and preparing for an interview. Next slide. And then the micro-credential, it's OSHA 10, it's first aid CPR certification and forklift certification. So packed in those 2 weeks, we really want them to come out with some skills that set them up for future. So our goal is this is a launch pad for them so that they either have some basic skills to perhaps move into an entry-level job. They have a understanding of the sector that help them determine whether they want to pursue additional training or if they want to pursue an apprentice in carpentry or a CNC, but it kind of is just a launch pad to help them determine next steps while also providing them some really important certifications for entry-level work that is both utilized in the construction and manufacturing sectors. Next slide. So we have our first cohort that is happening now. We're really excited. We know we're going to learn a lot from them. So this is happening these next, started this week and ends this next week. And then we'll have another cohort starting June 1st. If you're familiar with PCC, this is taking place at the Swan Island Trade Center. And again, really our focus is, being available for those 10 days and we're excited to have our first cohort. Okay, next slide. And then the other aspect of this, we've created an entry to mass timber booklet. Again, when we started thinking about curriculum and programming, we really realized that we needed to kind of backtrack and support, well, what is the understanding of mass timber? And that's in part, why we focused on having this video to really help people understand what is mass timber. And as well as with this booklet, so much of the information was really technical that we wanted to provide some additional resources that could be used. Next slide. This just is the cover, and this is the table of contents. It's still pretty technical, but it's we're hoping a great resource that can be used in pre-trades programs or with CTE high school teachers or community college instructors or just a variety of places. This will be available on the Oregon Mass Timber Coalition website. There's both for digital and a print option, and it'll be posted in Oregon Education Open Resources. And again, this is just the start, and we hope to kind of further develop this as we get feedback, whether having kind of more teaching modules or PowerPoints or in what presentation would make it easier for you to utilize this information. But we're really excited about this as a start. Next slide. Yep. This would not be possible without Charlene. She is our instructor for the program. And so just want to say how much we appreciate that content knowledge. And she can't join today because she is with the BEAMS participants. But again, really looking forward to further developing more resource and making those available. But also want to recognize just how incredibly valuable it is to have an instructor that both has the content knowledge, experience working in mass timber building, participating on this project. And I think that's the end of my slides. So again, thank you. And I'm going to pass it off to another exciting training opportunity, the Building to Scale Partnership training program.
Thank you, Julie. I'm Nathan Young, owner of Mods PDX and founder of Hone and Building to Scale. We're offering a training program. This will be our second year of running our program. This year, we're super excited. We have 3 different sessions that we're going to be launching. The first one's going to launch April 20th, and we're looking for 12 participants. They're going to be building an MPP modular building that'll be going in Newburgh as part of a missile middle housing project. So the first session will be designed primarily around understanding the implementation of the MPP into a modular format, working with all the subcontractors on plumbing, electrical, mechanical, cabinets, flooring, windows, doors, insulation. And then the second session will work primarily on the integration of that modular to the site and working through the foundations and the site utilities and all the components that go into actually landing a module. And then the third session will be a combination of both of them, where we'll bring the module to the site, install it, finish it up, and then get it ready for certificate of occupancy and final inspection. So throughout the 3 sessions, the students will get exposed to the entire build cycle of what it takes to actually build a house. And these are all designed to be in the middle housing or 80 to 120 AMI sector of the economy. So we're super excited to be teaching mass timber modular construction and focused on trying to build more housing for the middle housing sector. And I believe Cheryl has our application in the link. Is that right, Cheryl?
I put the application for this program is in the chat. It is, and so please, if you have candidates that you think would be interested, please have them apply. And it's the application for Building to Scale. And it has all the dates, and it has the dates of your info sessions, Nathan, as well as the dates for the, it's a great program.
Yeah, and we've been doing a couple different info sessions. We've had 3 to date. I think we have a couple more for students to jump on, or participants to jump on and learn a little more, ask some questions, and get a better understanding before they fill out the application. And then we'll be doing interviews in March and making final decisions by the end of March for people that are going to be in the program for April 20th.
Perfect. Thanks, Nathan. We really appreciate you taking the time not only to come to this, but to let us, crash your Building to Scale program and making you get in front of the camera. It meant a lot to us, so thank you for that. Great.
Yeah, no, we're happy to participate and help and be part of the community.
Perfect. Great. So the last part of this webinar is just to kind of open it up to those of you who have come to see if you have questions either about the resources that we've presented, or maybe you feel, it'd be really great if we had this to fill this gap that we have, or, questions about maybe you're not in the Portland area, or, things that maybe we could think about developing or help you develop to kind of expand the industry. So I'll just open it up. If anyone has questions, you can put them in the chat, or, if maybe you just want to share something that you learned or want to learn, that would be really great. So feel free to unmute or raise your hand, or write it in the chat.
Parker, there was a comment in the chat earlier about mentioning the Mass Timber Conference. So thanks to, I believe, Paul, who mentioned that the International Mass Timber Conference is coming to Portland at the end of the month, and definitely a good learning opportunity to come to the sessions and see a live build and interact with some of the companies in the industry. So it's certainly a big event and lots to learn there.
Great. Anyone else have? Oh, okay. I see A. Seeley is raising their hand.
I do believe the last Building to Scale program actually resulted in a job. I know I had a client that went through it and he really enjoyed it, learned a lot, pretty young, but I heard that someone at the end actually earned employment with them.
That's great. Yeah, that's exactly what we want to hear. So it's good to hear that story, and we want to kind of replicate that as much as we can. So
I was going to add that several people have gotten jobs through that program already, and they're already employed, and they're still working. Some of them are still working with their coaches to get employed, but about half of the first participants, I think, are in some kind of employment situation. So successful from our point of view.
great. We have a couple more questions in the chat. I'm just going to go in the order that they're written here, and then whoever from our group wants to answer them, feel free. There's one question. I work with Spanish speakers. Are there opportunities for those who do not speak English? I'm not sure who wants to take that one.
I, I can speak on ours. We do have a bilingual instructor. He actually speaks 4 languages, and Spanish is one of them. So
Great. I think from our side, it's not something that we've developed, but it's not necessarily something that we would not, or something that we could, it could be an opportunity for us to develop that. Yeah.
And I would also just say that it's not a big task for us to translate the video into Spanish. So
Right.
if that's a resource that we think would be useful to the community, that's something that we could make happen.
Absolutely. The next question, how can I guide high school seniors towards these careers? Who wants to take that one? Julie?
Yeah, I can take that. I mean, I think a lot of it is this first step of just providing them with the exposure that these opportunities exist. On the Oregon Mass Timber Coalition website, we will also identify some of the industries that are associated with the mass timber so that they could look at those for potential jobs. And then the others are we'll be putting out more resources as ways to connect, whether it's through the construction programs or engineering programs you may have, or manufacturing that may be already a part of the high school. All these are solid, foundations that would support students moving into this industry. But one of the cool things that Marcus alluded to, about mass timber is the umbrella really includes so many different aspects. Like we're focusing on the carpentry and construction, but there is the manufacturing, the installation, there's the design, there's the engineering, there's the forestry. So there's a lot of different ways to capture students' interest and have them move in this area. So I think all of those programs really provide an entryway.
Absolutely. There's a question on here about the building to scale training. Do you need to attend all 3 sessions? Do they get paid while doing these trainings?
yeah, so you don't need to attend all 3 sessions. You do get paid a $6,000 stipend throughout the 8 weeks, so it's $1,500 every 2 weeks. And we are setting it up to run it in 2027 again under a similar format. So the idea is you may come to session 1 or session 3, and then next year come back to session 2 or session 3, or vice versa, so that it can be an ongoing learning experience.
Great. Um, let's see. Will any of the presenters be at the Oregon Tradeswoman Career Fair in May? I don't know if that's on our schedule, but like we said, we are open to kind of expanding our reach out. So if there are other meetings or conferences or other opportunities, we'd love to know about them. So maybe we could send someone from our team to kind of expand that out. Any other questions that come to mind that maybe haven't been addressed quite yet? I can share one last thing here as well. I gotta share my screen again. Just to kind of reiterate, kind of what our hope is for this group, and kind of from this content, is to continue to bring folks in, whether those are high school students, whether those are Oregonians just looking to change careers or, move from one job to the next. We just want to make those available. And while we recognize that our resources might not be as wide as maybe some others, we're kind of hoping that this starts that building of those opportunities for folks. So I'm going to share my screen here again really quickly. I lost the button. That's concerning. There it is. So I made this little QR code thing here. So just to kind of recap, kind of what we're looking for. So if you scan this QR code with your phone, it will take you to that link that we've been sharing in the chat. We built out a landing page for a lot of this content. So you'll see Julie's resources about the BEAM program. You'll see resources about the Intro to Mass Timber booklet, Building to Scale. There's also a few others that we didn't have presenters on that might be interesting to you. So feel free to peruse that page. It also has all of the videos that we presented today. Like Rachel said, we'll also have it on our social media. The main video got shared out right before this, so feel free to share that in your networks, or like Rachel said, if you have publications, newsletters, just emailing it out to your team, whatever that might be. Any way that we can kind of expand the general knowledge of these careers and this industry, it will help us succeed quite a bit. And then finally, sharing potential outreach opportunities with our team. I put Julie's contact here. If you scan the QR code, there's more contacts there as well. But just if you have any additional questions that maybe we weren't able to get to, or as soon as we hang up, you're like, I have a question about this, feel free to let us know. But yeah, again, you can scan this QR code. You can just go to the Oregon Mass Timber Coalition website, and it's in the footer in the bottom there. There's all kinds of resources available to kind of recap the things that we chatted about today. So I think that I'll leave you with that unless we have any other burning questions here. Rachel, Marcus, Julie, anybody have anything else they'd like to share?
Thank you, Parker. Love the video. I think there's a lot of great comments in the chat too. Andrew, thanks so much for chiming in here in the chat so much. I think there's a lot of interest in how we can expand these programs around the state, and that's the goal. We'd love to do that. I think we're just getting started with some of these initial programs and looking forward to growing and scaling them in other regions. And so if there is interest in your region, whether it's in your community college network or your high school CTE program, please get in touch. We'd love to share exactly what, we've been building with these great programs so far, and see how we can, spread the love across the state. So look forward to connecting with you all.
And one other thing, this webinar has been recorded, so we're going to upload the recording as well. So if there are folks that maybe had something else going on today and weren't able to attend, but we're interested in this content, we'll make sure that's available for you as well. So with that, thank you again to our team and all of our workforce and industry partners for helping us get to this point, and we look forward to working with many of you to continue to expand that reach. So thank you so much.
Thanks for joining, everyone.
Yep. Thank you.